I love Persona. The story, the music, the aesthetics. I fell in love with the series after playing 5 and have been a big fan ever since. It's my PS4 background, my backpack, it's even part of my logo. Please don't sue. It's a worldwide phenomenon, but it wasn't like that before. There are 3 Persona games that not many people talk about. Today we're looking at Persona 1, or Revelations Persona, or Shin Megami Tensei Persona. You get the point. This was the game that started the series, yet everyone credits Persona 3 for doing that, which is kinda true. Out of curiosity, I decided to check out Persona 1 to see where things started. Did Atlus get it right, or was this a shot in the dark? Well, let's find out. Before we talk about Persona, we need to talk about this. You may have seen or heard this title. Shin Megami Tensei, which means reincarnation of the goddess, is a part of a long-running JRPG series starting with Digital Devil Story, a game where Japanese high schoolers go through dungeons fighting demons. Each game in the series was always a self-contained story, much like Final Fantasy, which is why most of the games were set in the apocalypse. When it came to the spin-off Shin Megami Tensei If, Koji Okada wanted to tone down the large scale of the last games and instead set it in a high school. The game did well enough and encouraged Atlus to create this new sub-series. It took 1 year to write the script, with the staff going through 20 drafts. The development of Persona was prioritized to a point where development on Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne came to a near halt. The game was released on the PS1, then eventually remade for the PSP when the series started to become popular. Sadly, I never owned a PSP, so I had to
How are you doing that with your mouth?
Never mind how I'm doing it.
Now on to the story. We begin in a classroom, with a couple of students wanting to play Persona. Okay, I'm gonna make some comparisons to some of the later games since I am a modern fan. It's not to judge, since it would be fair, but to see how things were different back then. Usually when you start a Persona game, you arrive in town and have to meet everyone over time. In this, most of the main party is here and already knows you. It should also be pointed out that there's no social links.
What?
The whole social and calendar system didn't start till 3, which I know is half the main experience of these games, but don't worry, there's still high school drama here, like seeing a ghost girl and getting struck by lightning.
What the? Yukino!
We are then met by Philemon, who grants us the power of personas to help us on this journey. You may be thinking that this is an old character that will never appear again, but he's actually the butterfly that saves your progress through all the games. Here we name our character and find ourselves in the nurse's office, with our teacher suggesting we walk ourselves to the hospital. Maki is a friend that's constantly in the hospital and depressed with her circumstances. She suddenly falls ill and is led to the ICU, which is where things start to get weird again.
An earthquake?
Whoa, it's a big one!
The hell? Hold on!
It seems to have subsided.
Maki! Whoa! What the hell? Where'd the room go?
What? How was that? No, I was positive that was the ICU a moment ago. Huh? That scream! It came from downstairs! Let's go!
The entire town is attacked by demons, leading to the kids to unleash their personas. After surviving the hospital, the gang head to the Amaya shrine to find Maki's mother, Setsuko. Guys, I'm really trying here with my Japanese pronunciations, please forgive me. Who was wounded after an attack by Kandori, the head of a shady company called Sebek, who's the culprit behind this. Nanjo and Mark head out to confront Sebek, while we bring Setsuko back to the school. At this point of the game, we can go into two story routes, the main Sebek route and the alternative Snow Queen route. We'll get back to that later, so let's go over the gameplay. Like old JRPG games, we walk around dungeons in first person. The only time we see our characters is when we're in a singular room. When traveling around town, it's done using an overhead view. This tree is where we can save our progress and can be found in random rooms. You can also find healing rooms, velvet rooms, and shops where this weird frog kid can sell you weapons. Yeah, don't question it. Now while you're walking around, like I said, okay, I guess we'll talk about the battle system. While it may look different, combat is relatively the same as the modern games, at least in concept. Battles take place on a grid-based arena, with characters and enemies moving according to the grid. Attacking enemies is the usual stuff, but you also have guns. But unlike Persona 5 where the guns are fake, these are real firearms that students are using. Well, that's fun. You can analyze enemies to find their strengths and weaknesses, although unlike the modern games where it just makes the party use the attack option over and over, can be customized using personas or magic. And a slightly new option is contact. This allows you to talk with an enemy and depending on your answers, can be rewarded handsomely for it. This is a concept that will be reused in Persona 5, although it's deeper here since you have a full conversation. You pick which party member is right for the conversation and figure out what makes the enemy happy or mad. If you anger the enemy, you could be attacked automatically or scare the enemy away. It's such a deep yet complicated process that I had to use a guide. This method is very useful for collecting persona cards, or if you're at a low level, get XP. At one point, I got stuck trying to beat enemies way past my level, so I just talked my way through them. The form option allows you to rearrange the party on the grid. In the modern games, everyone stays where they are when battling, but here, where you stand actually matters. Other than talking, battling is the best way to earn XP. You need to spend some time fighting enemies in order to get a required level, which shouldn't be a problem because the enemy encounter rate is absurd. You can't walk for a minute without activating a battle, which will get annoying. Velvet rooms allow you to create personas thanks to our pal Igor here. Very interesting seeing Igor in such a minor role while Philemon has a bigger one here, even though I prefer Igor. I wonder why Atlus decided to give him the spotlight in the modern games. The Velvet Room here is just plain, while in the later games it will represent the themes of the story. But the cool thing about this room is these two. You know the iconic Velvet theme, right? Well, now we know the people behind this amazing theme. After you create a persona, you can choose whichever party member is right for them. The main character is usually the only one who can use multiple personas. Here, everyone can, which I can see why they restricted it to only one, since I don't feel attached to any of the personas I use now. As for party members, there's no AI commands, so you have to direct/auto each action for them, thank God. But this time there's 5 members. You get 4, but you can choose who the 5th party member will be, which adds replay value since everyone reacts differently to each situation. Now everyone knows the most important part of any Persona games are the characters. Their stories and personalities are why we are so invested in these games. They are people that I would love to hang out with in real life. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for these characters. Since we don't start off with trying to become friends, we lose the growth that we could have had with them. With no calendar system, I presume the story takes place in one day. Character development is brief, rushed, or ignored. I don't see why they're so gung-ho on saving the world, especially with how some of the characters act. You know what? Let's do a quick good, bad, and the okay ones. The main character's alright. He looks cool, but feels pointless compared to Maki. She's the most important character in the game. The entire story revolves around her. I even argued that she should be the main character. Mark's a fun character and is the one who likes Maki the most, which I'll feel bad for later. He's the fun guy in the group. You know and love this character type. Yukino is the responsible one of the group and has an interesting backstory, although you wouldn't know that because she's not available in the Sebek quest. She's used in the Snow Queen quest, and arguably the main character there. Ellie is definitely the most interesting character of the game with how she reacts to situations. She's into some dark stuff to say the least. Ryuji is a semi-secret character that you have to unlock. There's a lot of tedious steps to go through, but he's worth it since he's one of the strongest characters in the game. He also has ties with the villain, so that makes things interesting. Kendoi is the quote-unquote the villain of the game. He serves a purpose and that's it. I know the villains, or at least the human ones in Persona games, are not important, but they do a better job with them later. Now on to the characters I hate. Brown is just an asshole. His dialogue's the worst and I didn't want him in the party. Ayase is just annoying. She's so self-centered and causes a lot of problems in the Snow Queen quest. But the character I hate the most is Nanjo. He spouts the most annoying quotes and is one of those smart guys that will never shut up. Every suggestion he makes usually ends with sacrificing someone and leads to the bad ending. Apparently he's so smart that he figures out what's going to happen next. Yet he never tells the party before it happens. The worst part is that he's not optional in the Sebek quest. You have to put up with him the whole game. You can argue that these characters are meant to be assholes and have redeeming arcs, but I don't care, f them. Now the second most important part of any Persona game is the music. Each game's music symbolizes the themes of each one, and they're amazing to listen to. I'm happy to say that Persona 1 still holds up to that standard. No matter which version you're playing, the soundtrack has some amazing hits like and my personal favorite, Shoji Meguro is a genius. Give this man a round of applause. Alright, back to the story. While the group decides what their next plan is, Maki shows up, more chippier than usual. Nanjo returns to inform us that Mark is stuck at the police station, so the 3 of us rush over to save him. After we rescue Mark, the gang decides to infiltrate Sebek and confront Kendori. Get used to chasing him around the whole game. Oh look, a bunch of security guards. What are they gonna do? Shoot us? Kendori activates the Diva system, a dangerous machine that can alter reality and give him godlike powers. Don't ask how. We try to stop him until a girl in black called Aki transports everyone away. We find ourselves at the school, yet it's different. Yosuke, a student who's been missing for a while, reveals that this world is a duplicate of our world. Another dimension, if you will. It's also revealed that this Maki is from here, which is why she was acting weird earlier. The school is then attacked by Aki, who's being an annoying little brat to everyone. After beating her toy rat, we set off to get Kendori. Along the way, we can upgrade our weapons by stopping at the gas station. Insert American joke here. To sum it up, we have a bunch of video game stuff to go through. Go get this thing, go beat that thing, go to the casino. Okay, that part wasn't necessary, but I killed it in blackjack. The next opponent we have to face is the Harem Queen, the ruler of the black market. The queen herself is Chisato, the other student who went missing, who's also a friend of Maki and girlfriend of Yosuke. She's been corrupted by the power of the magic mirror and turned on everyone she once loved. She's so obsessed with proving she's better than Maki that she'll ask you if you saw all of her paintings, which of course you didn't, so she'll send you all the way back to the start of the dungeon. Oh, that's creepy. After beating her, Yosuke arrives to calm her down, and all is forgiven. Chisato reveals where Kendori is hiding, and of course, once we get there, we need something to open the door.
Okay, that's enough. Stop, please.
We go to the Lost Forest and find a little girl in white called Maya, the ghost we saw earlier in the game. She's hiding from Aki, and we have to convince her to give us the key to open the castle door. Something I should point out is that Maya will ask you some questions, and depending on what you say, she'll give it to you or you'll fight for it. Throughout the game, you're given similar choices, and if you don't pick the right ones, you'll automatically get the bad ending. The kind of bad ending where I hope you have an old save file, otherwise you have to restart the game. So in order to avoid that, I looked for a guide. We get the compact and use it to unlock the entrance. Unfortunately, this is what Kendori was planning for, and we lose it. By the way, Nanjo suspected this would happen, and he still did nothing. After cornering Kendori, he reveals his plan to become a god, and of course, escapes to another castle. I'm not even joking, that's what happens. Needing to return home, we head to the haunted mansion. So this is what Resident Evil could have looked like. We run into Maki's mother again, except she's been transformed into a monster. By picking the right option, we can skip fighting her and have her help us return home. Alright, now we have to go through Kendori's new castle, which is a real pain in the ass. I know it's an old school game, but this is starting to get annoying for me. After all the goose chasing,
I hate data goose!
We finally confront Kendori, who's now depressed. Now that he's reached godhood, he lost all will to live. He asks us what we're living for, which opens the group to a serious conversation. Until Nanjo assaults the guy and we have to fight him. Man, fuck this kid, he's more annoying than Max. After a long boss fight, Kendori is finally beaten and... Wait, did we kill him? Oh god, we did! But before dying, Kendori reveals that the Maki who's been traveling with the party is the ideal Maki, a version of herself from the true Maki's heart. Aki and Maya were pieces of Maki, and this reality was created by her when she unexpectedly linked with the Diva system. Somehow. Once Maki sees this for herself, she's filled with guilt and runs away. The group tracks her down in the Lost Forest, where Maki confesses how she always felt jealous that everyone had a life but her. Everyone explains that it wasn't her fault, and how she's not alone in this world. Maki then rejoins the group, and we're off on another fetch quest. Philemon says we have to go to the Sea of Souls and rescue the real Maki. Along the way, we also run into... ourselves? This is pretty cool since Persona protagonists don't really face themselves. In this way, I mean. Making this moment unique compared to the rest of the franchise. You can get some cool stuff too if you chose all the good options in the game. Afterwards, the group faces Pandora, an aspect of Maki that wants to use the Diva system to destroy everything. This is a tough boss battle that will throw everything at you, so hopefully you're at a high enough level, because I was not. Finally, we beat Pandora, and all the pieces of Maki merge back into one, restoring everything back to normal. Sorry, Mark. Philemon congratulates us on our success, and we cut to the future, where the town just forgot everything that happened. Maki is now happier and looking forward to living life to its fullest. Persona 1 is about finding the strength to face the world. Taking the easy way isn't always a solution. We don't know our purpose, but life is worth going through. However, it's better when you're with friends. And that is why— oh wait, I forgot about the Snow Queen quest. Okay, let's rewind all the way back to the beginning. This was another route that was available at the beginning of the game. It's essentially a DLC and should be played after you finish the main game. I did not do this and made the mistake of playing this first. To activate this quest, you have to wait until you return to the school, talk to someone in class 2-4, talk to this creep inside the library, talk to the drama club, talk to the student council, speak with the principal, go to the gym, find the Snow Queen mask, and finally talk to Miss Psycho. Easy, right? The absurd part about this is that everyone tells you this mask is cursed and has resulted in the death of a few students. So why on earth would I actively want to go through with this? Why would Psycho put on the mask if she knew how dangerous it is? None of this makes any sense. It's even more frustrating when you realize they could have fixed this by resetting it in the other world. Like, the Psycho of that world acts really strange. So what if we learned about that mask in the beginning, and then that Psycho is the one to put on the mask? Thus, why she would do that in the first place. These are why story editors are important. The school is frozen and the Snow Queen emerges, declaring that the entire world will be absorbed into the eternal night within the hour. So in order to stop her, we need to collect these mirror shards that are hidden in 3 different towers, with 2 of them having a time limit to complete, not a calendar system, an actual time limit. Each tower has a gimmick. Hypnos is the easiest tower. You could just climb up and complete it in half the time. However, there's a dream world where you can get the mirror shards from waking people up. So it's your choice to take the extra time or play it safe. If you do run out of time, you'll be kicked out of the tower and lose everything. Nemesis Tower is not time-based. Kinda. You see, the boss will say to take your time, but this is a trick. The difficulty of the boss fight will be based on how long you take to get there. You can earn additional mirror shards if you save Toro from, well, this. Danada's tower is the hardest tower. Enemies are brutal, and if one of your party member dies, their personas will be taken and you have to go get them back. This boss is very difficult, and if you're not strong enough, you won't beat this tower. And since I wasn't able to go back and restart the tower, am I proud of this? No. But do I regret this? No. I should also mention that you can find more mirror shards by going to Tartarus. Now, in order to get the true ending, you have to collect more than 8 mirror shards. If you get less than 8, you'll fight a different boss and get the bad ending. If you actually get all 12, you can get some stuff to make the boss fights easier. Yeah, I said boss fights, because you have to fight the Snow Queen and Queen Ashura, while going through another dungeon. After all that, you save the school from your horrible actions and set off to continue the main quest. But the game just ends there, so I hope you had a separate save file. Snow Queen quest is alright. I mean, it's just extra content and would be downloadable DLC if it came out today. If you're playing for the first time, don't play this first. Finish the main game and then do this quest. You know, the funny part about all this is that this entire quest is not included in the original American release of Persona, which is a special subject on its own. Since this was the first role-playing entry in the Megami Tensei series to be released in the West, Atlus in North America wanted to make a lot of changes for American audiences. Everyone's names were changed, the races and designs of all characters were changed, Mark getting the worst of it in many unintentional ways. All the demon names and skills were changed, so good luck getting new guides. The currency was changed, and due to running out of time, the Snow Queen's quest was cut off entirely. Now, you could technically still play it by bugging the game, but you won't be able to complete it unless you can change the currency back to yen and read Japanese. Thankfully, everything was fixed when the game got remade for the PSP, restoring it to the original version and properly translating it. However, this wouldn't be the last version of the game, because for some reason, Sony reported the original American version for the PlayStation Classic. Yeah, remember that? That small knockoff PS1 that only had 20 games and most of them were unpopular titles? Yeah, they decided to shove this version of the game in there. So if you want to play the worst version of Persona 1, here it is. Persona 1 is definitely a product of its time. While the story is a bit out there, even for Persona fans, and didn't really succeed on the lesson it was trying to teach, I still enjoyed the game. Yeah, I didn't connect with most of the characters, but this still has the heart of the Persona games I loved. I don't know if I could recommend this game if you're not a big fan of the series. Even then, you might not be able to beat this if you don't have the patience for it, which is why I think this game should get a remake. I know, everything is getting remade, but hear me out. Most people don't associate this game with the series, so reintroducing this game to the modern fans will still feel refreshing. Persona 3 Reload shows us that you can update the graphics while keeping the original style of the game. Combat can remain the same, with some minor retweaks, lower the enemy encounter rate, fix some parts of the story that dragged, rewrite most of the characters I didn't like, and there you go. You have a new game and more time to work on Persona 6. Regardless, we shouldn't be too hard on this game. After all, everyone's first work will always be the messiest one. It's how we improve on it that matters, which we know they will. But what about Persona 2? And how does that hold up? Well, that will have to be a story for another day. So I know I usually say something sappy and end the video here, but I wanted to say thank you. We hit 10,000 subscribers, which is insane to me. I never thought I would be posting content on this channel since I only had it because of Google. Back then, my small minute of fame was being in one of the comments in an honest trailer. I did make reviews when I was in high school, but only for my school news. The only reason my first review exists is because I was so mad about Fuller House and felt like talking about it online, which unexpectedly did well. So again, I wanted to thank you guys for watching my videos. This channel paid 10% of my college tuition. I know I'm not the most consistent YouTuber, but I like to make videos on whatever I feel passionate about, which is why they're so random. I'm gonna graduate soon, so maybe the videos will be more frequent now. So all I want to say is thank you guys for everything, and I'll see you next time.